Good morning, yogis. I do believe that today I may have even got it up the correct way. I hope that you are ready to join us for Deep Stretch. There are a couple of things that you will need today to bring with you into your practice. You'll need a strap, and then you will need something for underneath your knee because we're going to start with the notorious couch stretch. I hope that you've been keeping it up. I did pop a video up the other day about, have you been doing your couch stretching? If not, we're going to do it all together now. It's one of those ones that's much easier to do in a group. And even if we're just connected via the digital realm, knowing that I am in my living room and you are in your living room, and we are all breathing through the experience of changing our bodies for the better, makes it so much easier to bear some of the sensations that are present in our practice. So quickly grab a hold of a strap. I'm using one of the straps from our alignment kits that we sell. And I love these because it's in Happiness's signature color, which is pretty pink. So coming all the way over to the wall, and you've got to find a little bit of wall space. I only have a tiny little bit in the home studio. So I'm going to pop right up against that wall, and I'm going to start with the left leg. So we're going to bring the left knee right up into the wall. And I know I'm right in the corner of your view, but that's okay. I'm going to step the right foot forward, and we want a 90 degree angle ideally through the body. So you might find that today, because of what's happening in your hips, that you can't get all the way back to the wall, and that's okay because most of us start down here and we don't start completely upright. And we might need to start with a little bit of space between the legs. We do want the hips square, so hip distance apart. And then we're going to press up, press. Have a little look at that back foot. We've got the heel right next to the hip, and then the toes aligning with the heels. And if you can, spread those toes out a little bit just so we're opening up the ball of the foot. Okay, so I've got my little table here to help me direct and line up through my hips. This is an active stretch, so I want you to think about pulling the left hip forward as you draw the right hip back. We're giving a beautiful stretch and moving into those tight quad hip flexors, and we're really stretching out some of these muscles down here that can become pulled on, and then when they're tight, that can lead to us tensioning other muscles when we try and come into hip flexion. So giving some love to these guys. Also, I find this stretch is fabulous for knees. I'm going to set the timer because time is a malleable thing when you're stretching, and your good side often feels like it doesn't take as long as your less good side. So having a more objective feedback I find is very beneficial. We're going to plant down through that heel and keep working with drawing right hip back, left hip forward, and then that little puppeteer string is going to draw us up nice and tall. At the same time, let the exhale soften the shoulders. Bring your chin and just seat it parallel to the earth. Just gently draw your shoulders back and take a little bit of bracing on the exhale into the abdominals. And we're just going to sit and we're going to be here with this one. This morning, as I've been reflecting, I've been working with the concept of rain, which is a mindful technique that we use to bring to emotional and mental pain, but can be also applied to physical sensations. So throughout today's practice, I'm going to teach you what rain stands for and how you can use it to sit with discomfort, whether that be a physical discomfort as you stretch or an emotional or mental discomfort. I think it's really relevant in these times that we're in today. And it also gives you that little bit of distraction. And distraction is a good thing. Sometimes we want to go to distraction when we're in a state and we just simply cannot break it. So we're in this state of sensation with the stretch. And we're going to be here. We're going to be here for another 30 seconds. So a little bit of distraction can curb the edge, as long as it's done in a beneficial and mindful way. I'll take a few breaths though. This is going to be part of it, because the first part of RAIN, the R stands for recognize. So recognize what is happening. And what is happening is that there is intense sensation in the body because we are stretching. And that's all it is. Just recognize the essence of what is happening. All right, let's come down. So the next one, I find a beautiful release out for those muscles that run either side of the spine. We want a little bit more length, but we're keeping the legs train track distance apart. And now we're melting the pelvis. If your hands are too far from the floor, bring those little earth extenders, the blocks or the books that you might have at home, to lift your hands up so you can get nice and deep. And we're going to lean forward. And then we're going to add that juicy element of time. We're going to take a little reposition, just recognize what's going on in the physical body. Come into working with the breath, those exhalations to soften everything down. So we recognize that in this moment that there is physical sensation happening. Now, one of the philosophies of Buddhist principles is that pain is a reality, it's a thing, but suffering is a choice. So there might be discomfort, but there doesn't have to be suffering. It doesn't have to be a sense of dis-ease with discomfort. If we remove the stories and we just push all that aside for a moment, we remove our opinions of whether I like or I don't know if I like, and we just recognize the very simple essence of what's happening. There is sensation, it is there. Then we come to the next step, which is acceptance. Acceptance is a challenging one for most people. Acceptance does not mean resignation, and I think those words have become synonymous. Acceptance is about allowing things to be as they are in this moment, because once we can allow and accept things and accept ourselves and the situation, then we have the possibility for the alchemy of change. But until we allow things to be as they are, until we stop the struggle and the fight, there's no calm and there's no peace. So there's no ability to move forward. Think of a fish caught in a net and you watch its frantic struggles. Now the fish has very little chance of freeing itself from the net while it is in full panic and resistance. It's not accepting that it's in a net. It is fighting it left, right, and center, and that thrashing around only makes it more entrapped. That is what we do to ourselves very, very regularly. All right, we're going to move into the next part of the stretch. Broaden out your right foot. So we're opening up across the span of the hips, hands down to the floor. This doesn't help when you have a table in the way. I'm going to shuffle over to the side a little bit. I'm going to keep that leg in the same position. Turn your toes out, turn your knee out. And then if you can, come down a little bit lower. So we're pressing back and really moving the stretch into that meaty chunk on the outside of the right hip. We're coming down a little bit longer. I want you to have a quick little look though, before we get into adding that element of time, and just have a look at how the knee is translating in accordance to the hip and the ankle. And you want them to be in a good alignment. So out from the side, radiating about 45 degrees. Some people are going to say, that is not a thing that's going to happen, that's okay. And then you've got a straight down line and then an opening out again. No tension in the foot. You can bring that left forearm across. It's a little bit more stable a base than having it directly forward, as long as that's okay for your shoulder. Take a deep breath in and an even bigger breath out. I'm going to have a look. My back foot's gone into an interesting shape, and that usually is just letting me know that there's tension. I'm going to just go back and adjust it. I'm going to accept that it's happening, non-judgmentally. It's just a thing. And then once I've accepted it, instead of fighting it or resisting it or hating my foot for not being the shape it should be in right now, I can change it. There we go. Go back, little foot. Acceptance. Recognize, accept, investigate. So what is really going on? And in mindful practice, when we do this in terms of our emotions and our mental state, it's often a somatic thing. So it's getting into the mindfulness of the body. Investigate the sensations. There is tension in my right hip. What else is happening? There are birds singing. And just on the periphery of the corners of my hearing, I can hear a bird song outside the room. There is a little sense of tiredness in the eyes, still early morning. I'm 3 coffees away from being perfect in complete acceptance of the AM. There is breath in my body. Just identify. You see how the mental drama begins to dissipate when we're in this state? What is happening in the body? And can you be there? No opinion, no judgment. In and out. Maybe the belly's starting to rumble. Maybe that intensity is building. Maybe you're really ready to get out of that stretch. I am. Ooh, come out slowly. And just be aware of that little rebound effect that can often happen. Final one, pigeon pose. I'm going to bring the right leg in. Actually, I'm going to skip this one. I'm going to take this one later away from the wall because it might be intense for some people. Bring yourself out, and can you notice a significant difference between the sides of the body? You probably can. That's why we do this again and again and again, for that sense of relief and ease it brings to the body once we release the tension and the stress. Hop that right knee back, all the way back at the toes, and align them with the knee. Or maybe you want some blocks as we set up for that 90 degrees and our couch stretch on the second side. Lifting all the way up. Whoop. Spend a moment or two because we're here for time. So it's worth positioning the body. Spread out those toes. Have a little moment to think about the girdle of the hips and squaring it up. Think of headlights of a car. Beam those headlights forward. And then finding your position, drawing down through the ankle and really letting the big toe find the earth. That's going to help you stay aligned through the foot. Then we can move and just move the leg forward, the shins slightly back. You feel all the little bones slot into alignment. It's so amazing. Our body is that kind of mechanical structure when we work with the skeletal system. It's really beautiful if you come into the practice of acro yoga or any of the body balancing stuff. Knowing how to align your bones gives you so much extra strength. Our bodies are so incredibly built that when we get them into the right shapes, they can be capable of amazing things. It's simply learning. That's why it's a lifelong journey, because there are all these incredible things that we will constantly have the opportunity to learn about this physical body that we have. Let's talk about N. So recognize, accept, investigate, and then N, non-identification. So the first 3 parts of this process are active. We're inquiring, what's going on? How can I be with what's going on? How do I feel in my body about what's going on? And then when we non-identify, this is the benefit. This is the ability to let go that comes from the previous 3 steps. It's less active. It's more like arriving at the destination. I am not the tension in my right quad hip flexor at the moment. I am not the mistake I made yesterday. I made mistakes yesterday. I did good things yesterday. When I move into non-identification, I'm not defining myself by principles of good or bad. I had a beautiful yoga teacher. Come down to the next one. So we're going to melt the pelvis to gravity, bring the foot forward, walk it out. Hands down to the floor, and then lengthening out and feel that stretch of the muscles either side of your spine. If you're on a slippery surface like I am, because I've got a rug here, you might want to just move that out of the way. We just want to be really careful that we're not going to slip into a compromised position with our bodies as we settle into whole. Okay, beautiful yoga teacher that taught me a good principle of non-identification. So carrying some old injuries, and we all are, particularly if you are like me and you've been in this body for a while, it's picked up some different little dints from its journey. And then trying not to be in judgment of that. of not being defined by the injuries and the wounds that had occurred to me in my life, and my shoulder injury. I have this idea that somehow we're going to reach perfection, that we won't be injured, that we can solve everything, and that someday we'll just arrive at this being where we will no longer have to judge ourselves because we've removed every flaw. But sometimes that's not the real gift, because we will never get to that point where we're perfect. Life gives us things that we want, life takes away things that we want, and it's an ebb and flow, and it's in constant fluctuation. So if you can be in non-identification, I am not my bank account, I'm not my shoulder injury, I'm not the good thing yesterday. There's so much greater and ease in being. We can begin to release some of those really damaging emotions that can limit us, like shame. This is pretty intense, I know, for 6 a.m. in the morning. I want to come back and revisit the teachings that I'm sharing you. This is a mindfulness-based practice, particularly advocated by teachers such as Tara Brach. Maybe do this after a couple of coffees. It's pretty intense. But you know what? It is a very effective form of distraction, because in a moment we're going to come into the final pose in the sequence, and we're almost through couch stretch. Let's bring the foot all the way out to the side. So wiggle, 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 wiggle it out and broaden the span of the hips. If you can, elbows come down. If you can't, that's okay too. That's just today what's happening. I know that I'm falling out of the frame here, unfortunately, just due to the setup of my living room. It's the way it's going to have to be. I'm going to point the toe out to the side and roll, roll, roll to the outside of your foot, the blade edge of your foot. Have a little quick look and just find the position of the joints in comparison to each other. Pull that left hip back and then get juicy. Maybe bring that right forearm across if you need a little bit more stability. Relax up your neck here. Take some big breaths in. Recognize sensation. Accept and allow it to be there. Investigate all the things that are happening around that sensation. Investigate the breath. And then non-identification. Don't be the pain. Well, hopefully it's not pain. If it's pain, come out. Don't be the discomfort. Be the vast, broader awareness that watches the discomfort. It's easy to sit with. Breathe and be. And bit by bit, foot's going straight again. Bit by bit, the body will begin to unravel. There's a strange principle in yoga that we tie ourselves in knots to get ourselves out of being in a knot, and yet it does work. So many things in life are not as simplistic as they'd seem, and yet are also very, very simplistic. Meditation, just sit still, don't think. It's actually not what meditation is. We allow thoughts. We just don't identify with them. Stretching. Just hold. Just breathe and hold. How hard could that be? A few more breaths. Beautiful. And when you're ready, slowly press yourself up. Take some time. You might feel that rebound effect, and travel just with the wisdom of your body. If you're a little bit soft or stiff, you might need to take a few moments. Let's come away from the wall now. If you'd like to make faces at it, you're welcome to do so. And then we'll come into a little twist now to release out the body. So maybe grab a quick drink as you make your way down onto the mat. See from the way that I'm moving that there's certainly been a change in the hips. Grab yourself some pillows if you have some, potentially. We'll take a little release for the IT band and we'll combine it with a stretch to reset the discs in the low spine. So, prop up by putting a couple of my pillows, stack them into a little bolster-like shape. Depending on how tight your IT band is, you might want a few of these guys. Mine can get pretty tight sometimes, but that's a great thing. You can always move it away. It's like a bit of a pancake stack. And then I'll move it out of the way so you can see the legs. So it's just going to be the left leg over the top of the right. Yeah. And then over to the left. So when you're down on your back, you're just going to have that single cross. You can find that full eagle leg with the toes tucked around if that's available to you. Let's come down to the floor. All the way down. Get the back nice and long. Just make sure your neck is stable and you've got a nice view up at the ceiling. Step the right foot to the middle of the mat. Bring the left leg over the top and then maybe single wrap or double wrap, whatever is available to you. You might feel that the hips are trying to twist out of alignment. That's pretty normal because you've got a deep internal rotation through your hips when you position the feet like this. Just going to let both the knees fall over towards the left. And then open the arms nice and wide to find a span in the chest and bring the chin towards the right shoulder. And then we're going to add time here. So from here, can you feel a pulling and a stretch from right knee to right hip? That's where we're working into that IT band, that dense band of connective tissue. I'm going to add the timer. Whenever we work with connective tissue, it's quite an investment of time that's necessary to change it because it's stubborn. If anyone's tried to teach an old dog new tricks, it can be done. It just takes a little bit of time. And that's beautiful because in this time, you just get to relax and breathe. If you're having difficulty being with the sensation, come back and practice rain. If not, you just get to drop in and let your body be awash in the sensations that arise. And as you come via the body and its sensations out of the mind, there's a grounding. We're nice and close. The earth is holding us. There's a stability that is really positioning and holding the form of the body. I'm just going to surrender over to it. Can you sink into sensation? And can you breathe out thoughts? Anything that's trying to trap you? If the mind becomes that fish in a net, can you let go of the struggle and resistance? Can you do that emotionally, mentally, as well as physically? So really aligning all those sheaths of our being. Just breathe. final breath. I'm going to warn you, when you come out of this one, you might feel, that rebound effect. So take it slow. Transitioning is part of the practice. Wowee. It is amazing how some of those long hold poses can really be transformative. I'm going to swap over those pillows to the second side. Now the second side might be a little bit different. So you might not need as big a stack, as high a spot. It's really common for us to have one side of the body that's tenser than the other. So if you bring over 3 pillows and then you find you only need 2, you're going to make an adjustment for that. Come all the way down to the floor and we'll set up for the second side. So we'll get our body nice and positioned right in the middle of the mat. The arms are going to go wide. Sorry, I don't know if my head's even in there. And then we're going to pop the right foot on top of the left and reposition. Now if you can get those toes to wrap around. It's a little bit more intense just with that internal rotation. You'll feel that moving in through the hips. And then once you feel nice and comfortable, you might need to move them. It's okay, it's worth a little bit of wiggling as you position yourself in so the bones can feel rested. And if you're just not going to get there, wiggle your hips over to the left. And that's a little bit easier to fall into the pose. You're just creating that little bit more space in the spine if there's a lot of tension. Now, this is where I hold a lot of tension in this left hip. So I have to be really aware and conscious of positioning the body in a way that will support the practice. And you know how intense it was when we came out the first side. So put yourself in a body shape that you can maintain and sustain for an extended period of time, because we're here and we're going to hold it. You might need to come back and find rain. Recognize what is happening. I am stretching my body, resetting my spine and releasing out through that dense fibrous band of connective tissue between my knee and my hip. I'm going to accept that that feels like it feels in this moment. I'm going to accept that I have the choice to breathe calmly and allow stress to draw out of the body. You can already hear the transition as we move through this process. There's a real stripping back of drama and tension. And then investigate. What does it feel like? Well, it feels like some tightness. It feels like rigidity. It feels like tension. And that's what it is, and that's okay. What else is happening? The breath is flowing. The birds are chirping. The morning is warming as the sun is rising. As I'm in that investigation, I'm losing what would be the end, the identification. I move into non-identification. I'm not this tension in my leg. I'm not this tightness in my body. I am the awareness that knows about this sensation, but also can hear the birds, can feel the warmth on my skin as the morning awakes, can feel the breath in my lungs as life is breathed into the body. I feel the rumbling in my belly for breakfast. All of these things. And so much of stretching is walking to that edge. We do this in yin yoga, but we also do this in the more dynamic practices, in the yang traditions. We walk to the edge, and then we don't force through, we don't crash through, but we don't retreat either. We play it. We ride it like surfing a wave. We watch the rising intensity and the falling intensity, and we hang out and we get comfortable with being a bit uncomfortable. And through that, because we're hovering at that point of change, we create transformation. Here is a great slogan I have on one of my t-shirts from Lorna Jane that says, change begins at the edge of your comfort zone. So true. I come out of this slowly. And again, just be aware of what might be waiting for you when you arrive back in center. As you release out your body. All right, let's roll all the way over into the side and give it a moment or two, just curl in and enjoy resting. If you line your knees up with your hips, just bring your shoulders into a line, you'll bring your spine back into neutral. If you've got the knees down, you're in a back bend, knees up will be into a curl of the spine. Take it slow as we come out of the pose. So nice and slow, lift yourself all the way up and away. And then let's work a little bit with that upper body. Let's take some twist and rotation and release through the shoulders. So grab a hold. We're doing for time. Beautiful. Grab a hold of a pillow maybe to bring your head down or to bring your shoulder down if the floor feels too far away on this one. I'm going to take threading the needle. So we're going to bring the right hand out to the side. I'm going to lift the left hand up. As we exhale, we're going to thread it all the way through. So thread, thread, thread down until you can get your right ear towards the floor and your left hand out and in front. And then from here, right hand can come all the way up and reach around and grab a hold of left ankle. It's just going to roll you open through your other shoulder as well. Get nice and cozy here and prepare to spend some time. Not quite as long as we do in some of the other poses. Have your palm up. Release out a little bit more. Tension in the shoulders. Breath in, breath out, keep rolling open, turning through that top shoulder. And come into Santosha, which is contentment. It's one of the ways you can practice acceptance. Can you let everything be perfect exactly as it is in this moment? You'll be okay. Despite whatever is going on, find a little peace with it. About 5 more breaths here. And keep your hand up. I'm just continuing to watch the time. That's part of my job here. In a moment, we're going to bring the right hand down. Now, we're not going to go as far as you might think. I'm going to keep that left hand out. We're going to open the knees out wide to the side, touch the toes, and come back into a little child's pose. So just slide it back. Now, take your right hand and walk it over towards the left-hand side of the mat. So walk it, walk it, walk it. Now reach your hips to your heels. And see if you can let your right shoulder blade, lift a little higher up. Roll open through the carriage of the chest. All right, and then pigeon pose. Just going to stop that timer. We're going to come up, bring the left hand forward, slide the right knee forward, open the heel out to the side, extend back through that left foot. You might need to have the knee out to the side. Grab a hold of the pillow, it can be for your ear. Slide the left hand through. Left hand through comes through. Oops, I'm coming out of the frame here. I'll just move so you can see me. So the left hand comes through And the right hand's going to lift up, it's going to reach around and it's going to grab a hold of your toe. So it's just a progressive opening of that top right shoulder that we've taken through this sequence of stretches. And then get yourself comfortable and relax into the sky. I'm just setting our timer. All right, think of still grounding down to the tip of your left knee and pull your right hip back as you do so. Now you might think that's pretty good. Other option, reach back and grab a hold of your foot. That might be better. They're still the same kind of stretch. They're just different in some subtle ways. But a lot of the intention is there in both of the stretches. And it's just slightly more intense, but you don't get extra brownie points. I can't see you at this point in time, don't worry. The digital content is coming. We're moving to a Zoom model for our members. So we will be able to see you. But for now, yogis, for today, you can just take it easy if you want to. There's wisdom in that. There is wisdom sometimes in doing less rather than asking for more if that's what your body needs today. And a lot of us at this period in time are having to really work with breathing and accepting the change that is happening. We're needing to work with rain on an ongoing basis to keep us grounded and settled. So if the gift that you can give yourself today is not creating tension in your body by forcing it somewhere it doesn't go, if you know that you're going to have to be resilient and strong in many other periods of time today, be soft and gentle to yourself in these moments. All the way down, or slowly lift up. So as you bring yourself out, you probably feel it's quite a shift in the body and a deep opening through the hip. I'll take it over to the other side, so I'm going to swap it around. You can stay where you are, and that is just necessary because we are doing the second side. So right hand's going to lift up, lift, 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 and as we exhale, melt, melt, melt all the way down to the floor. So I'm going to move the pillow so I can land the head, scooch the hips so that they're sitting above the heels, draw the belly in, and then reach back through that left hand, grab a hold of the right thigh, and let's get nice and relaxed here. Can you relax your face? If your head's not comfortable, sorry, it's not yin yoga, so you're going to get less in trouble for not embodying stillness the way you would in a yin class, since that is all about stillness. But then we don't tend to be quite as challenging on the body. The postures can be a lot softer than some of the ones we do in deep stretch, which are much more muscular in nature for the majority. We do chuck some fascial stretches in just in case you don't get an opportunity to visit our yin practice. So we kind of blend up active stretching and those long, slow releases for connective tissue, and then these sequences of stretches that are working in a progression that invite the body through a series of different movements to bring it into a peak pose, so a more intense variation. That's sometimes how we structure our classes in yoga, is that the whole first 40 minutes is simply a preparation for where the body is going. But like many things, sometimes those really big, showy poses in yoga require work to sequentially open each part of the body so it can move there safely. I'm going to bring this one into the next stretch. So bring the hand down, I'm going to lift up, and we're going to just take those knees out nice and wide as we transition the body into a child's pose. So now the hips and the heels are coming to meet. You can still have that right hand out, and we can keep the right ear to the floor, but we're going to walk the left hand all the way over to the left and roll open through the left ribs a little bit. You're going to breathe. I don't want you to tension your shoulder here, so it's got to be something that you can maintain. So try not to yank your shoulder directly, your arm directly out of the shoulder Or if you're noticing a tension in the neck, if you're straining the neck in any way, can you move the body so it's going to be free? And can you work with the natural intelligence of your own breath, just to give you a little bit of feedback of how you're traveling? Breath moves in and breath moves out. Let's prepare to bring it into the final variation. So we'll just slowly lift up. And we'll slide the left knee forward. And the right leg back. And just ground down to the tip of that left knee. All right. And then we're going to be reaching around and grabbing a hold of left hand to left big toe. So the right hand threads through now. And just squaring up across the hips. So sometimes I have to, when there's no mirrors, reach back and just be like, feel your bottom. It's a good indicator. You might want to bring your pillow down just so the head is not strained, trying to meet the floor. And then we'll reach back and we'll grab a hold of that big toe and then just roll open to that left shoulder. And the right hand's out. You can smile and be free. And that might be where you're going to hang out for the next series of breaths. Or you can reach that back foot in, grab a hold. Maybe want to grab the strap to make that possible. Roll open to the chest, so you're getting that little massage of breath down into the belly and that little bit of extra stretch. Grab the outside of the foot. You can press the foot back into the hand and make it a little bit deeper. So the way you grab the foot can also change the way it expresses in the body. And that's it. You're going to breathe. I like to think of, if it's not enough, try and lift your right knee off the floor and think of a little Pilates imprint. So try and pull your ribs and your hips together. That'll change what happens. Just observe. Recognize the difference. I always like to think of our recognition sometimes is not just about what is, but the potentiality for change. We forget. When we're in discomfort, we feel like we're never going to be in discomfort. I'm never going to move out of discomfort, so it can be really challenging, but of course we will. And when we're in a really good place and we think, gee, this is great, I've got it all going, I've nailed it, we feel like we're never going to move out of that. Yeah, that happens too. That's the flux of life, the ebb and flow. It's the balance of the breath. It comes, it goes. And try and control it. We observe it. Sometimes we draw force of its own nature. Let go and slowly begin to bring yourself all the way up. Oh, beautiful. How are we traveling? There's always so many stretches and so little time, yogis. Let's do another little release out through the arms, and we won't take a super long time with this one. So I'm just going to move the hair out of the way because this becomes important when you put your arms in weird shapes. What we're going to do is take the hands out, swing the right hand underneath the left, and maybe you're just going to reach around, give yourself a little hug on the shoulders and feel that stretch into the shoulders with your elbows trying to position on top of each other. You can have your elbows in line with your chest as long as you're not pulling any way through your neck. So just wobble, wobble, wobble. If it's possible, the hands are going to meet. So they're going to come around and you're going to get your palms to draw together, and then to really lock it into place, just turn your thumbs towards your nose. Okie dokie. Now we're just going to drop the right ear over towards the right And move the hands over towards the left. And don't go to 110%. Go to about 60%. Otherwise there's no space. There's nowhere left to go. Three, two, draw the belly in, gently brace the lower abdominals, engage the glutes, got a nice tall spine. One, slowly come all the way back to center. All right, beautiful. From here, we're gonna reach the right, we're gonna reach both the arms up and embrace a little back bend. Now take it slow and gentle here. You might wanna lift the chin to elongate the throat, you might not. Breathe into the fullness of the span of the ribs. Exhale out completely through the lungs. 5 breaths. When you're ready, we'll bring it all the way back to center. We'll fold forward, hinge, hinge, hinge at the hips. Walk the fingertips out, and then just let the chin fall down to rest on the arms. You ready? We'll slowly begin to bring ourselves all the way up. And we're going to cross over the legs and cross over the arms. So they're going the other way now. Reach, reach, reach. And grab a hold and just let the shoulders soften. Maybe you're coming into that second positioning for the arms. Just turn the thumbs towards the nose. And then drop left ear towards left shoulder. Move hands to the right. And a little moment. I need to remember just to bring the spine up tall again. Because there's so much going on through the upper body. And sometimes we can forget to just gently brace and support the spine. So bring your awareness down there for a moment and then come back. And breathe into the release as you soften the right side of the neck. Again, about 60%. Don't pedal to the middle of this one. Be careful with your shoulders and your neck. They will not love you for the rest of the day if you don't love them with kindness now. You gotta be nice to them or they'll let you know about it. Alright, come all the way back to center. A little back bend, elbows rise up. So again, that engagement of the core is particularly important whenever we're back bending. Lift the chin, but just relax the neck. Notice if you're tensioning through the jaw. So if you're squeezing through the eyes, you feel that those lips are pursing together with determination, you've probably gone a bit too far. Be a little bit gentler and kinder with your body. Breathing it in and breathing it out. And in and out. And in and out. come forward now. So we're going to hinge, hinge, hinge down. Let those fingertips find the floor and walk them out. It's not the intention of the pose. Make sure you can breathe. But you can let the head soften, just let go of the neck, particularly as you've been opening up the chest. The head might feel heavy. And we're going to drop into the earth and allow the earth to hold us for a little while. Take a hold of that job. And the breath flow in and the breath flow out. And be in the balance between the two. Five, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Slowly, slowly come all the way back in. And release it all out. Oh, how long do your arms feel right now? Just let that neck move. Whoa, how free does that neck feel? That's why we do this, because you feel amazing afterwards. All right, grab a hold of your strap. Let's come down to the floor. You might want those pillows around for the final part of our class. All right, let's hit the earth, yogis. Take a quick little drink maybe before you come down. All of that intentional breathing can sometimes stress the back of the neck. Scooch yourself onto the earth. So all the way down until you find the floor. And then we'll grab a hold of the strap so we can up and over the right leg and extend the right leg to the sky. All right, so depending on what's happening with your back, you might want to have that left leg bent, you might want to have that left leg straight, you might want to have something underneath the left leg so you're somewhere in between. If you can't get that left leg all the way to the floor. That's going to be my twist today. I want a little bit of softness, a little bit of gentleness. Just take a few ankle rotations before we begin. Loosen, 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 so we won't hold the strap too tight. If you don't have a strap, you can just have the hands the back of the leg. You don't have to have a strap. It's just nice if you do have one. We do sell them as part of our alignment kits if you would like to have a look at our online store through the studio, through the website. Alrighty, let's get in here. Let's hold this one for a little while because hamstring stretches feel amazing. Whew. And that's it. Make sure you're not jamming though. So it's always been something that I've had to really learn in my practice is not to jam into that hip capsule because that's my tendency to want to do. So instead, I'm going to actually let the leg go a little bit out. So it's going to look far less impressive than like I'm cheerleader kicking. But I can bring a little bit more straightness into the back of the knee and I'm not pressing and jamming and creating tension. In fact, sometimes it's even nice to just a little bit of manipulation. If you're someone that sits a lot, we tend to get this like collection of hard fascial tissue right up beneath that right or that left hip bone, depending on which sit bone you weigh more heavily on. And we tend to spend up to 80% of the time just in the unconscious ways that we stand loading pressure onto one leg and not the other. I learnt that from a fantastic personal fitness trainer about the importance of one-legged training because we do that. We don't know. We don't have that awareness of what we're doing in those moments. It's the same thing with sitting. We'll often just dump the weight into one side of the body and then we get these imbalances. You can go for foot over head if you really want to look impressive, but today I'm going to let there be space and breathe into that tightness. And just see if I can let it dissipate. Don't worry, I haven't forgotten about you. Just breathe. Sometimes these quiet moments are the best. You're keeping yourself company, you can hear those whisperings. A beautiful expression from a yoga teacher. If you listen to your body when it whispers, you won't need to hear it scream. So release and bring that right knee into the chest and give yourself a great big squeeze as you release out through that psoas. Give a little release to the ascending colon. Cuddle it in. And just let the right hip be heavy, but keep the right side body long. So there'll be the tendency to hike that right hip up towards the right shoulder. Just draw it down and away. And then we'll move the pillow over to the other side and we'll take the left leg up. We'll start with those rotations to the ankle. And just a few slow releases. It's really good to strengthen the joint. And go the other way. All right, and then let's prepare for that hamstring stretch. So I'm going to watch the time and I'm going to be quiet so you can listen to the whisperings of your body, the whisperings of your mind. Close down those eyes and just relax. Stay with it. That calming nature that comes from inversion. Big deep breaths feed the body. Deep breaths. holding. If you're enjoying the practice today, it will be uploaded to YouTube. We're slowing down some of our uploads to the YouTube channel, just so we've got new content coming. We'll work with pre-recording some of our sessions too, and our digital content will be released hopefully by the weekend. So if you are a member, there is premium stuff coming to you and some competitions to say thank you for those people that have continued to book in and join us via studio bookings. It's so nice to know who is with us, and there still is that capacity. We're still functioning as a yoga studio. We're just the new side, the new kind. I'm going to release the strap, bring the knee in. Just keep that lengthening, so that drawing away of the right hip. Move across this little guy. I can show you the pose properly. Just relax down through those paraspinal muscles. And draw the knee into the chest, tuck the chin, balance across those shoulder blades. For that real tendency to want to shorten, particularly if you've got tension in the outer hip. All right, the fabulous news is coming. The best part of this class, in fact, of any of our classes, is the bit at the end where we don't do anything at all. So it is 7 o'clock if you're jumping up to go and get ready for your journey into the rest of the day. If not, I invite you to stay with us for the next few minutes as we take the pillow under the knees, or maybe if you've got any tension in the back, you want to lift up the tail, lengthen out the spine, let the knees fall in, just let them hold each other as a gentle support, or you can bring the legs out. Create a little bit of space so the hips can roll open and the palms can roll open. And if you're on your mat and you're by yourself, there's all that opportunity to spread yourself out. Think of yourself as jam on toast. Spread it nice and thickly and wide. Fill up all those corners. Close your eyes. And take a deep breath out. Surrender all of the weight of your body over to the floor to hold. Surrender all the weight of your mind. Thank you for sharing your practice, yogis. Stay here. Just enjoy this ananda, this bliss state that comes once we've peeled all the tension from the body, once we've released all identification with those thoughts in the mind. There is just this arriving home as we find the balance between body and mind, and we just rest in that space between. Thank you for sharing your practice with us this morning. I will see you on the mat very, very soon, perhaps tonight, as we flow through a relaxing sequence to de-stress the day. Until that time, I bow to you. Namaste.